Welcome to Treebud Academy. Hoping that we can learn from each other. And today we have a very special guest. It's an honor for me to have Anna on our channel now. So, Anna, welcome.
Hi. Thank you. I'm very honored to be here. Thank you for having me.
I am so excited to chat with you. You recently changed your last name. Congratulations.
I did. I happened to get married this summer.
And what was that like running your own business, getting into a huge milestone in your relationship?
Well, this whole year has been a bit of um, an influx of change and in good ways. So yeah, growing the business myself and stepping into that space. Um, we got engaged and then married during COVID, and even had a honeymoon in the process. So the last
Wow.
6 months have been rather busy, fun, enjoyable, lots of love being shared in a time when I think we need it most.
Mhm.
So we decided when COVID hit early on, we we kind of waited it out and did the whole like let's see what wait and see, and
Mhm.
then I think it took me about 2 weeks to start going like I can't I can't just sit around waiting. Um, what can we do? What can I do? How can I take responsibility? What can I do within the control that I have, or within the the resources I have to do stuff? And we kind of had the talk and decided to take first step of get engaged, and kind of took that first step, and then we assessed it. There were some personal factors at play in terms of why we decided to get married in the summer, and it just all kind of came together really nicely.
I am so happy for you. And I definitely want to have you back to chat about what it's like to, go hit a milestone in your relationship, get married, how things are navigating, running your own business, as well as the relationship aspect of it. I know
Oh,
for
fun.
me, like a little tidbit and sort of a teaser, I felt
Yeah.
like getting into I got married last year, and before even my wife and I started dating, I told her, "You are dating an you know a workaholic, and I get anxious if I'm not working all the time."
Yeah.
I've definitely dialed down, and she's on board, thankfully. But there have been some rough patches, even within the past year. So, love to chat to you about this.
Yeah, I'm
Um,
happy. I already have a bunch of stuff, but I feel like it'll take us on a different path than what we're here for today.
And actually, you just came back from vacation. Can you tell us about that? Your honeymoon slash vacation type of thing.
My honeymoon's slash vacation. Well, with COVID and the restrictions here in Canada, and we decided that a road trip might be the safest, easiest thing to do. So we decided to go from Toronto to. We made it all the way to Victoria, BC, and back in
Wow.
2 weeks. So it was an aggressive timeline, but I think that's in the world of entrepreneurs, we kind of push limits, and we test the boundaries, and if we can do it. I had some contingency time baked in there just in
Mhm.
case, but and I brought my laptop with me. But no, we took the time off, um, and rented a car and drove many kilometers across the country, and it was a sight to see. So having grown up in Canada,
Mhm.
learned the diversity in terms of, like, in grade 5 6 geography, to then living it, like experiencing it in real life. It was just phenomenal, and it's really cool. You had gone on the road ahead of me too on your own trip. So it's interesting how we've come together now, and I know somebody else who also did a trip. So we weren't the only ones doing the trek.
I felt like when the lockdown hit in Toronto, people were just kind of starting to flock west and sort of move west. And like even my wife's Instagram feed was just filled with, I think, within weeks of each other, multiple friends taking that milestone trip to Banff, and then taking those like iconic photos there, and then hearing from them, oh yeah, we just got back. And then we did this trip in like you said, just a few weeks ahead of you. Oh, that was Siri. um, we did the same trip as just a few weeks ahead of you, and that was for my cousin's wedding. So we kind of um, isolated ourselves here, and then we arrived there to celebrate, and it was
Yeah.
super awesome.
Oh, beautiful.
Highly recommended. Um, but
Yeah.
today
Well, the
we wanted
sorry.
yeah, sorry about that. Today we wanted to cover and sort of hear about your experiences as a small business owner, entrepreneur, and how are things going with you?
Things are running. They're, I'm refining what work I like doing, who I like to work with. I'm evolving my messaging. I'm getting to know people. I'm networking and building deeper relationships. I've tested a couple different tactics in terms of marketing and sales and offers, and really now, as the coming to an end of 2020, really looking and deciding um, what is most valuable to my customers, what I
Mhm.
like doing, and using that as the launch pad for planning into 2021.
Yeah, and with the I guess with the pandemic and how situation has kind of evolved over the past few months, um, what are some of the challenges that you have? So, for example, like how are you finding, how are people finding you? How are they connecting with you? Have you pivoted since launching your business? How have that journey been like?
I was fortunate to kind of have set up a business mostly in a digital capacity. Pre-COVID, I was meeting clients more in person and doing a lot more in-person networking. So to that, in some capacity is the pivot was instead of in person, was still building those deeper relationships in a digital format. Finding new unique ways of networking that I didn't before. And maybe
Mhm.
fortunate for me, I'm really an introvert. And so it actually, I took this as a benefit because it meant um, less time and energy to go to and from events. I could decide if I wanted to sign up for something, and then it's like I can mute it, I can do something else. There's a variety of ways that I could fit it in without adding the stress uh, component to it and trying to do it all at the same time. So no, I think I've been having fun. I pivoted slightly from the beginning. I had set out to do kind of done for you services with clients, and in working with an initial client, we did some really awesome work, realizing that the coaching and the mentoring aspect was a lot more up my alley, was a lot more fun and enjoyable for me, and there were greater results for the client. So I think there was a bigger impact to coaching someone instead of doing the work for them. And so that was a bit of the shift that I was already in flight. It didn't have to do with COVID specifically. It was already part of my business progress, and now I've continue to scale and continue to work with my team to take it to the next level for this year.
That sounds like we're both in very fortunate positions, and I feel for some, uh, COVID has been devastating, and my heart goes out for them.
Mm.
But for some of us who kind of tackle things head on, or not saying other people don't, but for us, we're fortunate in that we're able to um, transition very smoothly, and focus more on sort of growing and building something. And I'm so happy to hear that you and your team are a making strides in terms
Mhm.
of growing your business and kind of ever changing environment. So, uh, what was it like for you going? I remember you going solo, and then now having a team. What was that like? As a small business owner, I'm in that phase where I'm running the show by myself, doing a bit of everything, and it's kind of like my baby. um, I I always talk to people. It's like, okay, there's got to be a time where you have to there's an inflection point where you can't do it all. You got to start bringing people in to help you. What was that journey like for you? And how have you helped other people recognize that they need to build a team?
Yeah, I think it's a very personal experience, especially when you're starting out. So, you mentioned you going from the part of doing it all to now deciding if a team is the right move. And when I say it's personal, because there's a lot of, in entrepreneur world and in business mindset, the word mindset's tossed around, and mindset's
Hmm.
important, but the word in itself doesn't have any connection until you apply it. And so, mindset around what a team could look like, or building out that next phase, what I know something that you and I wanted to flesh out a little further, around the fears or concerns that you might have with how to get started and taking that leap. I'm fortunate enough to have had previous managerial experience building out teams in for other businesses and other people's businesses that I work for. And so it's less of a scary thing for me. I'm quite comfortable hiring. I'm quite comfortable managing and coaching and keeping a team accountable and delegating. There's a lot of factors. What was different for me, um, it's more personal. Doing it when I was working for someone else's business, there was a detachment. I wasn't in charge of the financials. I wasn't in charge of, I got approval to hire, and, okay, this was the budget and this was what I needed it for, and things like that. What was personal at that time was the culture. So making sure that I was aligning with the company culture and then the team culture that I was instilling in my own team. So, in my own business, that's still applicable. The culture that I want for my business, the culture I want for however it evolves, not just today, but in the future. That's still really important. So that's kind of been a consistent factor. The piece that was different or new was almost like the judgment I felt of, oh, this is my own business. Am I even at a good stage in my business to hire? Do I sound like I know what I'm talking about? I think as leaders in general, there's this sense of pressure of like needing to know it all and needing
Hmm.
to have all the answers and have it all figured out. But business is like, I've worked at big, massive enterprise companies, no one has, like, it's not all figured out there. They just have, solid kind of vision and plans in place, and then the work, so all to say is business is messy, and
Right.
it's not all like cookie cutter, and it's all unique depending on what type of business, what industry you're in, who you are. We talked about introversion versus maybe someone who's extroverted. They're going to approach things differently. And
Hmm.
so those when it's personal, my own business, it's I've hired people and I was like triggered on a number of levels, and it just didn't work. It didn't jive. And it was something that I was really cognizant of right away, because I'm like, if I'm on always triggered, then I'm always on edge. I'm not producing my best work. I'm not producing the quality that I want to deliver. So being, meticulous around like, what is it that I actually need? And I coach this all the time. So, we can get into this specifically around, how to look for things to, in terms of hiring, but it's even getting like, what do I need? What do I need to get over? What are my own limiting beliefs, or what do I think, what is stopping me from hiring a team? And then really looking
Hmm.
at what's the opportunity of bringing, like, sometimes I think we think so personally and we don't have time or control, or whatever the concerns are. But then, it's the opposite. It's like, what's the opportunity? Hiring for expertise and having someone complement your skill set. And what more could you do? What more, people, clients can you serve?
Hmm.
How else can you bring in more money and revenue from that? And taking more of an opportunity, thinking about it, getting curious about it instead of kind of doubting or being uncertain about it.
So Anna, you just touched upon a very important topic for me personally. I went into entrepreneurship not just to be more independent, but just have the financial freedom and the ability to kind of live the lifestyle that I want. I want to travel the world. I want to have more time to spend with my family, friends, my wife, my adorable little cat named Leopold. Um,
Great name.
so this is importance in terms of when you're hiring for somebody and building out your team. There's sometimes maybe needs that needs to be met, immediately. So, for example, over the summer, I had immense amount of workload, and I was, that saying, entrepreneurs quit the 40-hour job to work 80 hours for themselves, right? And I found myself in that situation, um, working, at the crack of dawn, literally at like 6 a.m. until 10 p.m. at night, almost nonstop for the first few months uh, in the summer, and it was unsustainable. So I had to find someone to kind of offload some work to as a freelancer. Um, and he was an immense help, someone whom I would say is even smarter than me, and let him take care of some of the work. So maybe you can talk to us a bit about how that is for some
Yeah.
of the clients or some of the things that you've seen.
Yeah, for sure. I think you brought up a really good point, Brian, is that sustainability.
Hmm.
It's not from, let me ask you, when you were working those 80-hour weeks, what were your relationships like? How did you feel? Were you exercising? Were you taking care of yourself? You know, we are the foundations of our business.
Hmm.
Much like a house, if there's cracks in your foundation, how sturdy is that house? And so, personal self-care and carving out, making sure you're taking time for yourself, it really is actually a good business strategy,
Right.
because you can then, think about it when you're constantly under stress, and there's a lot more language around the kind of the how the brain works, and fight or flight, and those behaviors. And if you're constantly in that state, that's not where true creativity comes from. Creativity needs space, so does innovation. So are you really honoring your work and your client, the deliverables that you can offer your clients and the solutions you can provide if you're constantly working? So it's looking at that, and then looking at what, much like you said, the person that you brought on supplemented, in fact was smarter on some levels than you can continue as the founder to hold the vision and the strategy and the culture that you want to employ, as well as your customer experience. And then allow this person who loves doing what they're doing to come in and supplement what your ideas are, so that together, collectively, you're making something bigger. Right? I think that's the other thing. I think sometimes we think, small business, I need to play small, and our businesses can grow beyond what we imagine sometimes. And a lot of that
Hmm.
means that because that it becomes possible when you add more people, and you can hire in a really, smart way and strategic way, and that aligns with you. It doesn't mean hire for the sake of it. I know sometimes, like you said, if there's a deliverable and you need to get it done, and there's an urgent need, you can do that. But then it's looking at that longer term plan as well around, do I want someone who's going to come in and work with me collectively together, even
Hmm.
if we're working independently, even if you're like, hey, Brian, here's a piece of work, go do it, come back to me in a week, and they're allowed to be independent,
Hmm.
but there's still a, united front that's being presented and working together.
Yep, for sure. Um, I've learned so much from you today, and you're a good friend, wonderful resource. Um, I'd love to keep in touch with you more often. I felt
Yeah,
like when we were working together, you're one of the brightest people in terms of intellect and personality.
thanks.
Um, and I feel really bad that we haven't connected sooner. And I feel like right now this pandemic has put us together, and we're going to show the world how amazing you are,
Oh,
and
thank you.
I just want to be able to share your knowledge, share your exuberance, um, and all the joy that you bring to everybody I know. You work with a good friend of mine, Robin. She's amazing,
Yeah.
and she's said nothing but good things about you each time I talk to her.
That's amazing. I love working with her. She's such a ambitious entrepreneur and really doing the work to scale her business in a way that feels right for her. And I think that's the piece that I love doing. It's not, I've studied the business books and I've been in, other corporations and a lot of people. There's a lot, even in entrepreneur land, people talk at you. There's a lot of messages out there that
Mhm,
are can be hard to decipher and understand what applies to you. And so, really, um, she and I get a chance to really dive into how she wants to show up, how the business evolves, and how she can lead a team and grow her team in a way that doesn't feel stressful and
mhm.
difficult, and it becomes fun and easy to apply. So
There's
thank
so
you. My cheeks are so full from the compliment. I can't smile anymore. Otherwise, my eyes we won't see me. But yeah, I'm really honored to be here. Thank you so much for giving me this space and asking me the questions. It's actually a topic that I love talking about,
mhm,
and there's so much more. I know I haven't covered. We probably hit only some of the surface level stuff. So, in terms of some key takeaways that I want to leave the audience with is really getting clear on your needs, clear on your expectations,
mhm.
defining what is long term versus short term goals, and then why should they work for you? That's another question we maybe the a part two of this segment, but why should they come work for you? What do you
Mhm.
offer the person, and kind of making that a mutual respectful exchange as opposed to feeling like there's a lopsided approach to it.
I definitely want to have you back on the show to chat more about different aspects of your coaching because it's truly holistic. So we've only touched upon one aspect of it here.
Mhm.
So it would be great to have you on again. So where can people find you, Anna?
Well, I hang out in lots of the social spaces. Instagram, my handle is Lead with Anna, or you can find me at Anna Forbes on LinkedIn. Anna Forbes is a very popular name. So, Anna Forbes Toronto. They can find me through you as well. So, hopefully, can connect I'll send the links over so you hopefully can pin them to the video and make it easy for everybody to reach me.
For sure. Thank you so much, Anna. And we'll make sure to have the all the different handles, Instagram, LinkedIn, your website, all linked
Yeah,
in
awesome.
below on the description. Thank you so much, and I hope to catch up with you another time.
Yeah, sounds great. Thanks so much, Brian.
Thank you. Hey, Brian here. It was such a fun episode to shoot with Anna, and even though we had a bit of a technical difficulty, I had to make a little interesting cuts and edits to cover that up. But the good news is that we're going to have Anna back on to discuss more some of the topics that we missed. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Hit the notification bell so that you get notified about Anna's next episode.